Good afternoon. Last weekend, I went through a whole progression of discovering clarity, discovering that clarity and purpose was really what I meant when I said clarity, to have a clear sense of purpose. And then I talked, of course, about outside purpose, being compelled by society, parents, outside pressure, and impel coming from within. And what I want to talk about today is how to discover your purpose. Now, I guesstimate that about 1/10 of 100% of the world's population really have a sense of this inner purpose. I'd even considered it. So I would be about 76,000 souls. This is just speculation, but it seems reasonable to me because in my experience, limited as it is, but it's, after all, what I have. What's available to me is what I've experienced. And just mention the word purpose. Talk about purpose driven. What's my purpose? And it means, again, about human doing. What am I to do? What am I going to do? What should I do? What will I do? What shouldn't I do? What won't I do? And as a college instructor for many years, part of how I looked at my role was not only, the top priority was teaching them or showing them the possibility of thinking. How to think, basically, was my primary objective to share with my students. I thought this was the most useful contribution that I could make to their future, to their well-being. And I did it wholeheartedly. I experimented for years trying to find the most effective ways. And it always comes back down to questioning, basically. Asking questions and expecting or waiting patiently for answers as they went through the necessary process to arrive at a question. And so I was part of this outside compelling force in the lives of young people that I was blessed with having the opportunity to work with. And I never considered it anything less than a blessing. An avocation instead of a vocation was teaching. And I particularly resonated with this 18 to 20-something year old young adult, or in the process of becoming a young adult. So I too was wittingly, not unwittingly, it was known to me, not unbeknownst, okay, that I was participating in this outer-driven. And then meanwhile, I had already said personally for understanding what's impelling me, what's the purpose that's coming from inside. And that's where I estimated about maybe 76,000 people in the world today. Well, I would say it was a fair guess to say 76,000 people know their inner purpose. And this number is growing as people becoming more and more aware, becoming more introspective. And it's funny that how life works, that this virus, COVID-19, this coronavirus, has driven us to spend more time with ourselves. And most people are not particularly comfortable spending time with themselves. Then there's others that relish it, that cherish it, that value it, such as me. I love the time I spend with others, but I couldn't get by without a daily dose of time with myself. That's the beauty of meditation. If you engage in meditation and you're sitting in a position with some kind of mudra, hand gesture, with your eyes mostly closed, people won't interrupt you. More and more, it's an acceptable. It's in the social mores, today's social mores, to sit in meditation, which is the best way that you could spend time with yourself. So today, I dissected purpose pretty thoroughly last weekend into the two categories, and today I want to talk about discovering your purpose. And of course, from here on out, when I'm talking about purpose, unless I specifically say so, I'm talking about inner-driven search and sense of purpose, impelled, coming from the inside, stimulating you from the inside, piquing your curiosity from the inside. And this discovery of your purpose, the subtext would be, what would make you whole? This is a question that will hopefully stimulate you towards this self-inquiry. What would make you whole? Because most of us spend the greatest amount of our time feeling less than whole. Part of a culture, part of a society, part of a family, part of a university, part of a grade school, part of a club, a participant, part of a group participation. And it's always part less than whole. So, in a nutshell, we are within ourselves completely whole. It's discovering or rediscovering this sense of wholeness, because we live in an age that seems to even celebrate division and separation. I wonder what politics really is besides division and separation. Be part of us, not part of them. They're the problem. We're the solution. See, be a member, join us, support us, vote for us. And we promise, whatever they promise is quickly forgotten once they're elected into office. It's amazing how quickly promises in politics are forgotten. Yeah, it's a question of sincerity. But I know that there are politicians that mean well, but they're up against those that don't mean well. So think about it. Sit with it. What would make you whole? And I'm already assuming that you got to this point where you're trying to discover your inner purpose. And as I said, maybe 76, I like that number, I don't know why, 76,000 people in the world are firmly rooted. They know their purpose is to remember the forgotten. Remember what we knew as we came into this life, as we breathed our first breath. That evaporated, it went into the cosmos. What we previously knew, which included everything. There's absolutely nothing that we didn't know. There's absolutely nothing that the knowledge of which wasn't available, readily available to us when and if needed. But coming into life, we're born again to fulfill, to accomplish, to deal with karma, actions of the past, reactions of the past, in the spirit of becoming into a condition of awareness where the consideration of purpose, inner purpose, wholeness could come to fruition, could even dawn on you. And of course, we gotta go back to the disillusion. This is of the ego, the egoic driven part of us, the Maya, the dream. We have to penetrate the dream. We have to penetrate the illusion of separateness. And along with that illusion, there's a false premise in that illusion of separateness. Somehow our uniqueness comes from the differences, from separating ourselves, achieving more, possessing more, wanting more. How about being more? Where is that on Maslow's ladder? Near the top, I suspect. A firm foundation of the different rungs of the ladder have to be accomplished before you could get into the esoteric realms of purpose, self-discovery. A lot of work, lots of lifetimes. This cumulative effect. But it can be broken down into bite-sized pieces. Be the best that you can at any given moment. Remember my mantra, maybe it's always served me well. I'm a better man today than I was yesterday. I'll be a better man tomorrow than I am today. And let's go back and let's redo that, because let me redo that. I'll be a better person. Okay. I am a better person today than I was yesterday. And I'll be a better purpose. I'll be a better person. Purpose is on my mind. I'll be a better person tomorrow than I am today. Get rid of that man crap, let's make it person. Because, after all, man's better half, unfailingly, is female, woman. And somehow it made me think of Trump's cognitive test. Anyway. Eventually. That's the thing that, urgency is a really interesting. I have no sense of urgency for the evolution of my fellow beings. No sense of urgency. It will happen. Your time will come. That's all you need to know. Your time will come. No pressure. There's nothing to accomplish. There's nothing to do. It's just about breathing, relaxing, and becoming. Or simply just be. The old Beatles song just struck me. Let it be. Indeed. Let it be. Let it be as it is. So getting to this point, all it means and all it really entails on your part is that, first of all, recognize and say, aha, do I have inner purpose? Yesterday on a bike, last week, on a bike ride with my brother, we were talking about purpose because I've shared bits and pieces as much as he's willing to listen to, as much as he's ready to listen to, ready to hear, or even interested in, about this journey I've gone through clarity. And he would just assume that clarity means to see and to think clearly, logically, systematically, rationally, as they call it. Anything else is less than rational, sub-rational, irrational. But I said to him, what about your inner purpose? And he said, I've never considered it. I have absolutely no idea. The few times it's dawned on me, I quickly dismiss it because I just unknown, uncharted territory. It's never really been high enough on my litany, on my hierarchy of importance to devote too much time and where to start. And I think probably where to start has to grow. It can be nurtured once the seed, but I think it comes from when you begin to see that the outside, the compelling force of outside forces about purpose start to ring hollow. There's always a sense, I remember in education, there's always a sense in life, what's next? What's next? Okay, here, what's next? And imagine the relief of turning that around. It's not driven by the ego or the conscious mind. What's next is the next breath. It becomes that simple. That's what's next. As I shared about my golden dawn, that moment when the sun first peaks up above the horizon and everything becomes that golden color, that golden moment. And since we live in a, wow, the lights are flickering. There's some powerful talk here, huh? Making the lights flicker. Yeah, right. As if that could happen. But to extend that when you be here now, moment, to live in the moment. When I live in the moment, and I colored my moment. I colored it golden. The golden moment. So each breath, each moment is a celebration. So to live in a state of goldenness is what it comes down to. That's what's next. Beyond that, let it go. No worries. What will be, will be. In the parlance of the currency of our popular language, it is what it is. It is what it always will be, has been, can be. It is. So you could cut off 3 words, just it is. Yes, indeed, it is. Just as I am. I am that. I thought about recently, I am that. That I am. It's reverse it and you have the answer. I am that. That I am. And even as I say I am, it's one of those words, am. It's the state of being. Feels good in the heart. I am. I am that I am. Indeed. So it's time to slow down. It's time to pay more attention to your meditation practice. If you're at a place where you really want to discover your inner purpose. And the beauty of discovering your inner purpose is that in contrast to discovering your outer purpose, your unique contribution to society. So many purposes a myriad of purposes. It's a process of elimination. It's a process of education. All these outer driven, so many purposes. But the beauty of being impelled, the beauty of discovering your true purpose, your inner purpose, is that it's the same for all of us. To truly see the oneness, to truly live in our oneness, to understand and relish the ordinariness of this discovery of our inner purpose, to feel whole, to be whole, to have nothing more to do. No, all doing is for naught. It's time to listen. The song of the universe is there for us constantly, continually. You can rely on this. In life, there's not much you can rely on when you get down to it. But the continuity, the continuance, the progression of being this spiraling to infinity. This is when everything else about life that may have preoccupied, concerned, worried you so much, you're released. Oh, I feel this. You're released. You're free from desire. You're free from pettiness. You're free from jealousies, envy. You walk away from these inadequacies, these small expression, misdirected expression of our humanness, what it means to be a human being. You're free from being a human doing. You can smile. You can embrace. Something that I haven't talked about for a while is that fearlessness. How by releasing these things that bind you to human doingness, the releasing of these, the greatest reward for most of us, because people basically live in fear, fear-driven survival. What if? The great unknown, all sources of fear. Imagine putting it down, letting go, embracing the world in a pure state of fearlessness. Just as you left the egoic structure, just as you left your misconstrued, your misdirected purpose of mind as any source of answering questions or any source of direction or any source of advice. You've laid that down. There's a fierceness that comes into this. There's a fierceness. I don't want to say will, because will and won't power are more part of the problem. But there's a fierceness to letting go of fear. This work is not for the meek. This work is the way of a warrior. A warrior faces the unknown in a complete state of fearlessness. This is the warrior that I'm talking about. This is the warrior, this fierceness. Because it's based on blind trust. You can't see what awakening, transition from non-abiding, impermanent awakening to permanent, to abiding. You can't. You can listen to some words from others, but those words drop by the wayside. The meaningless becomes apparent. So I remember part of the process is being led by a teacher. And he says, here's the precipice. Jump. And it's one of those, foggy things. You can't see how far where's the bottom. So it takes an act of a warrior. It takes a commitment to be free of fear. And this is made possible through surrender. Without surrender, there is no fearlessness. Fear is part of the condition until you surrender. You give it up and you leap. I remember my teacher looking at me and said, okay, I've done what I can. I've brought you as far as I can. Now the rest is up to you. Now you need to leap with fearlessness into the unknown.